You see the highlighted vocabulary word variable. Okay? And Chelsea told us what a variable was. So again, repeat. What is a variable? Okay, I could read the definition, but what does that mean to you as a fifth grader? When I see variable, my mind should automatically think it's a letter, and it's going to represent an amount of something that we're going to have to figure out, which is going to lead us into an algebraic expression. Okay? The most important thing that you need to make sure you understand about an algebraic expression is that it doesn't have an equal sign. Okay? An expression does not have an equal sign. An equation does. So an expression never contains an equal sign, and an equation always contains an equal sign. Okay? Expression, no equal sign. Equation, equal sign. For example, some of you are looking at me very, very, very confused. Let me show you a quick example. If I had 9 plus p, that is an expression. Okay? There's no equal sign anywhere in that problem, is there? Okay? But if I had 9 plus p equals 16, that's an equation. I can solve that to figure out what p is equal to, right? Okay? And most of us could use mental math to figure out what p is equal to, because 9 plus what gives me 16? 7. So p would be equal to 7. Okay? That part I believe you did a little bit of last year. Trying to figure out what that missing variable is, like you would have had to subtract 9 from this side, subtract 9 from this side, 16 minus 9, not 19, would give me 7. Do you remember doing that last year? Yeah. Okay. We're going to get into that, but before we get there, we're going to focus more on the expression part. Okay? And today our main focus is going to be reading a set of words, a phrase of words, and writing those words as an expression. Okay? So nowhere today in any of our work will we use an equal sign. It will just be variables and numbers. Okay? We don't have to solve anything today. We're just doing expressions. Do expressions contain equal signs? No. Okay? So, for example, if you look in your book, I'm on page 147. It says operation, and then it says word phrase, and then it says algebraic expression. Do you see that part? Yeah. And it gives us two different ways, or two different phrases that I might see in context. That means I need to add within this expression. And it's kind of those words that you're used to hearing in a word problem. What is the total amount? Or here it says a number plus 4. Okay. Do I know what that number is? No. So I'm going to let that be my variable. Okay. So my variable is always my unknown. When it says a number, that's my variable. You could interchange those two phrases. A variable plus 4. A number plus 4. Okay? So a number is telling you the operation to do plus 4. Okay? Then it gives another example here, and it says a number added to 4. Okay? So a number, do I know that number? No. But I know that I'm going to add it to 4, right? Could I also write these expressions as, it means the same thing when I add, right? Do you think it's going to be different with subtraction?
Yes. Yes.
Does my order matter in subtraction? Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so the cool thing about addition is it doesn't really matter if your variable is first or if your variable is second. Okay, so whether I'm saying a number plus 4, that's the same thing as 4 plus a number. Okay, you can represent those either way. I don't care how you choose to do it. Whatever makes the most sense to you. when I look at subtraction, it says a number minus 4. So I have a number. I'm going to use x as my variable. Does it matter what letter I use? No. I would stay away from s because s looks a lot like a 5. So I would suggest staying away from the letter s as a variable. Okay? Sometimes you can get it confused with the multiplication sign. No, that's right. Okay? It says a number minus 4. I would represent that phrase as x minus 4 or L minus 4 or W minus 4, whatever you want to use. Okay? The second one says a number less 4. Less means subtract, so I have a number and I take 4 away. Does that make sense? Okay? Some phrases you might hear when you're doing multiplication. You might hear 4 times a number. I do want to show you this one again because we did talk about this previously when we have a number right next to a letter, what that means. Okay, so this says 4 times a number, so I could put 4 times a number. W is my variable here. I don't know what W is, right? But I also want you to understand that I could write that as 4W and not put that multiplication sign in there. But it still means multiply. Anytime I have a number next to a letter, it means you're going to multiply those two together. Another way you may see this written, that sometimes they will write it a multiplication sign instead of using what looks like an X. They might use a dot. Okay? I want you to be familiar where if you see that dot in the middle, that dot also means you're multiplying. Sometimes they choose to use that dot, and especially as you get higher in your math classes, so that you don't make that mistake of, is it a variable or is it a multiplication sign? If you're using x as a variable, okay? So they'll use this little dot to represent that you're multiplying. So you could see a multiplication expression written any of those ways, and they all mean the same thing. Okay? How many of you feel confused yet? A little bit? Okay. I think once we actually start with doing a few examples, you'll catch on. Okay? The next one says a number divided by 4. Do I know what that number is? Does it matter what letter I use to represent that number? Nope. I'm going to use R. But it says a number divided by 4. Or I could say R divided by 4. Okay, I could use either one of these because we know something written as a fraction means to divide. Okay, so let's jump into a few examples. So on your whiteboard, I would like you to write what you think is the expression for what I give you. Okay, so if it says twice the number of people, how would I write that as an expression? Twice the number of people. What does twice mean? 2. How would I write that as an expression? Twice means 2. So twice the number of people, I need a variable times 2. Okay? Or 2 times a variable. So I could write that as 2W. I could write that as 2 times W. Can I switch my 2 and my W around? Yeah. Absolutely, because multiplication lets me do that, right? Okay? W times 2. Here's what you don't want to do. I am going to show you one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to write it like this. Okay? This and this, essentially you're doing the same thing, but when you're going to put them right next to each other like that, we never write the variable first. We always write the number first. So if you're choosing to represent it like this, that number right next to that letter, always put that number first, and the variable comes second when you're going to write it without a multiplication sign in the middle. Does that make sense? Okay. So your next one that you're going to try, $7 less than the current price. $7 less than the current price. $7 less than the current price. You have $7 minus the current price. Less than means you cannot inverse subtraction, or you can't reverse subtraction. You have $7 minus the current price. I have the current price minus $7. Okay. Let's look at this one because I'm seeing a lot of you that are getting these mixed up. You have to read and listen very carefully to these words. Okay? This one says $7 less than the current price. So I have my current price that is my unknown, right? And then I'm going to subtract $7 from that. So my current price, which is unknown, I have to subtract 7 from that. If you wrote it as this, you're saying $7 minus the current price. Well, what if the current price is 10? Okay? So, yes, it does matter that here you have the variable listed first. So, on your board, I'm going to pause the video here. On your board, I want you to try... Actually, first, before I do that, if I have... Okay, so here's my expression, my algebraic expression. What word phrase could I write for this? What word phrase could I write for this? We're going from the word phrases to writing the expression. I want to do it the opposite way. I want to have the expression and write the word phrase. How would I do that, Chelsea? Add 12 to a number. That would work. Okay? Do not say, right, add 12. Don't put plus 1. Okay. So if I gave you this expression,